I want to start with Arsenal because I was watching the game. My dad literally left half an hour in and he said, I have too much respect for Arsenal to continue watching this. What's going on? Arteta in, Arteta out. Where do you stand on this?
Well, they've spent over 100 million on this rebuild and they've barely altered their first team. So that tells you everything you need to know about the job that the transfer gurus, I don't know who's running it. Is it Edu these days?
Yeah.
That shows the job that they're doing at the Gunners. I mean, geez, Arsenal have been so bereft of investment for so long, and now they've managed to waste all of that money just, I guess, filling out their local player squad requirements. Maybe it's for like the registration rules that they're just signing English players with the huge markup. So they haven't really addressed the gaping holes in the team. And I think it still is the center of midfield. People talk about the absolute clown car that is the defense, but I think that's a function of a lack of protection provided by the midfield.
Before you continue though, what about Thomas Partey? Because I have a close family friend, loves Arsenal, and he goes, Thomas is injured. We have Ben White injured, Gabriel injured from centre back. But look, apart from maybe Thomas Partey, who was a player at Atletico Madrid, I don't even think those centre backs are that much of an upgrade to where they were. Guaranteed Rob Holding, Callum Chambers, I didn't even know was at the club still. Are they really that much of an upgrade?
It's quite confusing, the recruitment and these kinds of players that are brought in from the cold, like Callum Chambers, to suddenly be a part of the first team. Kolasinac playing as left-sided centre back on the back three. I thought, we worked that out very early into the Arteta reign that wasn't going to work. I think Kolasinac needs to don the cape and goggles and become some sort of like street superhero, kick-ass style character and preventing carjackings as opposed to being a professional footballer, because this guy was playing on loan for a relegated Schalke side.
And that's, I think, another interesting point. Kolasinac played at a relegated side. Aaron Ramsdale, who was signed, people forget that he's been double relegated with, was Bournemouth and then Sheffield United.
Yep.
A meme that I thought was hilarious was that he might be the first player to do the relegation three-peat if Arsenal do go down. So and obviously they've sent William Saliba out on loan, who, for the most part, I think was pretty impressive when he was out on loan in League One. I don't know who's making the decisions and what kind of future they're working towards, and if there's even a plan of that.
Well, I think there is one player who is, I wouldn't pin it all on him, but I think he is emblematic of the kind of cultural decay at Arsenal in the fact that he's considered a leader, and that is Granit Xhaka.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been sent off 11 times in his career and 4 at Arsenal. I mean, how many second chances are we going to give this guy? The guy who ripped off the armband and, shouted abuse at his own supporters. He's just not the kind of consistent presence that they need in such a crucial position. And he also harms their build-up play. It's so much ball circulation and no forward momentum, no verticality to it. He's just receiving the ball, switching the play, receiving the ball, switching the play in these big U-shapes, and Arsenal never get anywhere. So, I mean, Granit Xhaka is overdue to be sold and should never be trusted again in a big game. But Arteta
at any
seems
club,
to
you're just calling it now. Any club should never trust him again.
He should go back to playing for like a mid-table Bundesliga side. I think that's honestly his ceiling.
Yeah.
He'll have occasional outstanding performances for Switzerland. He had a great game against France in the Euros, but it's not going to be a week in, week out thing with him. I do like Thomas Partey. Unfortunately, injuries have really delayed his impact on Arsenal. But Arteta as a manager has this unwavering faith in Granit Xhaka as a player, I think because he sees himself in Xhaka as that kind of tempo controlling midfielder.
Yeah.
Arteta didn't let the team down with those kinds of petulant outbursts and disciplinary just madness that Xhaka does on a pretty regular basis. Not just getting sent off, but also just being at fault for goals, and doesn't seem to take responsibility on that front. So they need more leaders in this team. And I know that's a cliched kind of English ham-headed thing to say, but I think it's true. And
I mean, I watched the game. Aubameyang was kind of just meandering around. Lacazette didn't even look like he wanted to come on. To your point, Granit Xhaka got sent off. Rob Holding, I can't tell whether his hair is blonde or if he's actually going bald and it's just that thin. But you look around the pitch and who's going to take control and kind of run them forward. It's, it can't just give the ball to Bukayo Saka and hope that he does something every single time.
100%. And they don't know what formation they want to play. I mean, if you're signing Ben White, you should be playing a back three, because that's the position he excels in, that kind of almost sweeper role in the center of the back three. He was pretty good for Leeds in the championship and Brighton last season, playing in the middle of a three. That's his kind of speciality, but he's not very good in the air. And when you're playing in a three, you've got more cover in that department, because you've got presumably two other centre backs who can win the aerial balls, but the amount of duels that Ben White wins is far lower than your average centre half. So he's going to be a problem in that department if you're going to play him in a four. So if that signing was made with no forethought for the formation that Arteta wanted to play, it's a very foolish one to spend 60 million on this guy, because, you know, they played in a four with him in the team, then he got COVID, and now they've switched to a back three without him, which makes no sense whatsoever. Yeah,
and is he worth that amount of money?
It's the English tax. I mean, I think Ben White's a good player, but it's a laughable sum. I mean, Brighton are laughing all the way to the bank with this one. Brighton do some smart business, and they've absolutely fleeced Arsenal on this deal. Does not mean to say that Ben White won't be a success at Arsenal, because I think he's got a lot of potential, but they've absolutely overpaid by at least 20 million, I would say.
Hey, and so we'll end the Arsenal question on this. I asked an Instagram question the other day, name a more iconic duo than a McFlurry and large chips. One of the answers I got back was Arteta and Edu. If you were calling the shots there and Arteta has to go, who are you looking to bring in?
I think if Arteta gets fired, Edu should be fired as well.
Yeah.
Because he's been responsible for so many transfer flops. I mean, one of the worst decisions they've made in recent years was to give Aubameyang that fat contract.
Signed the thing.
And as soon as he signed on the bottom line, his performances dropped off a cliff.
It's because he's too much money in the pockets, you know what I mean? Like, too heavy. Like, it makes it hard to get around the pitch like you used to.
And at the time he signed that deal, he was scoring a lot of important goals, and I understood why they decided they need to keep a hold of him, even if it wasn't for the best of the rest of the squad. But the amount of money they're paying him is kind of mortgaged the future and the investment in the rest of the team, which is very disappointing for Arsenal fans who they need to see the next generation coming through. They need to see some kind of progress. I think there is one bright spot, and that is the few youngsters who've come through the academy recently. Particularly Emil Smith-Rowe, who looks like quite a player. And I do think Odegaard is a decent acquisition as well. But I don't know when this generation is finally going to flourish, and when Arsenal are going to compete for even Europa League places again, because it doesn't look like they're going to this season. They're bottom of the table.
Yeah. Unbelievable.